And welcome back to FoxNews.com Live. I'm Lauren Green. The Supreme Court has agreed to take on a case that really starts to question the constitutionality of certain kinds of warrant. In light of our technology, GPS, does the federal government have the right to attach a GPS, a secretly GPS tracking device on a suspect's car in order to track them? Tanya Forsythe is a partner at InfoLawGroup.com, not .com, but InfoLawGroup. And she joins us now from our LA bureau. Welcome, Tanya.
Hi, Lauren. Nice to be here.
Well, this is an interesting case because, you know, it could be in the future that all cars will then be created with GPS intact. You don't have to buy your little Garmin or anything like that. So basically, what are the ins and outs of this case?
Right. So this case is attracting a lot of attention because of this notion that perhaps through the use of GPS technology, the government has the ability to create a detailed picture of an individual's movements all over the place, moment to moment and every day over a prolonged period of time. And so in this particular case, the respondent, Jones, is arguing that that picture that GPS creates over that period of time, among other things, that creates a kind of a mosaic, which is what the court below, the Court of Appeals in the District of Columbia, found, that really provides an intimate picture of a person's life that perhaps would not be available to anyone other than, say, one's spouse, and that therefore the government should be required to get a warrant for this kind of tracking because of this technology being somewhat unique in that respect.
This came from a case of Antoine Jones, and he was a suspected drug dealer. The police didn't have a warrant. They monitored the movement of the car 24 hours a day for 28 days, and some of the information they actually gathered was used to convict him of conspiracy to deal drugs. And so the question, of course, you know, the Obama administration says there, you know, that no warrant should be required for the government to track its movements. So, but we're dealing with a suspect who is, you know, doing something illegal, and on the surface, it seems like it's pretty cut and dry. But what are the problems with this?
Well, so this is actually an interesting case as far as the facts are concerned, because the government actually did have a warrant for 10 days to place the GPS device on the car within the District of Columbia. However, the government placed the GPS device on the car on the 11th day in Maryland, not in the District of Columbia, and therefore it was without a warrant. So it actually is kind of a strange case in some ways to have this very big question about the use of technology and reasonable expectations of privacy, which is what it has turned into, because this is one of the first opportunities the Supreme Court has had to consider whether certain technologies change the picture. There is prior Supreme Court case law that actually holds, the Knotts case, that actually holds that your movements on public roads are not private. They are, that you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy when you move around on public roads because, for example, anybody could watch you. But the argument from Jones is that this is different because the GPS technology, it's an automated function. It's not, doesn't require human involvement, and it therefore collects data and saves data in a computer in a way that the court should consider to be different. And so one of the most controversial questions is, should the court consider this to be something different? But what about other future technologies that may come along? And, you know, is the court really in the best position to do this, or should this be the job of Congress?
You know, Tanya, I want to bring in Eric Yaverbaum, who's associate publisher for Social Media Mags at Real Yaverbaum website, because what do you think about this? I mean, because it's been known that government has a hard time keeping up with the technology, or the governmental laws have a hard time keeping up with the technology.
You know what? I think that I have GPS in my car. I carry 2 cell phones. I have an iPad with me. I think that if you want to follow me, That's okay. I think every time I pull up to a streetlight and I see the camera, or if you've ever gotten a ticket for going through a red light, it's just a photograph. You weren't even driving the car. You still have to pay the ticket. You know, Personally, I have no problem with it. Follow me wherever you want to follow me. If you're doing something wrong, I think you have a problem with it.
Yeah, the GPS really brings up another issue because there's so many other ways that you can actually track somebody through their phone. I mean, the phone gives off a signal. You can track that.
Some people like that. Some people want to know where it is.
It's hard not, but it does it, in a sense, Tanya, open up the floodgates for any time that you have anything on, it's legal to track you.
Right, so that's the question. The question is, yes, I mean, in the world we live in, we carry lots of devices with us everywhere we go. You're absolutely correct. We have our cell phones, we have the GPS in our cars, we have everywhere, and a lot of us don't think anymore that we have a reasonable expectation of privacy because of those things. As a personal matter, that's in many ways a social question, and it's evolving. And in fact, during the Supreme Court argument in this case, Justice Alito asked that question. Is it fair for us to talk about reasonable expectations of privacy with technology changing so quickly? And some people don't have a problem with it. Some people just assume I am being watched. And, Justice Alito specifically said, maybe in the future we will all be on social networks and have 500 friends who watch us all the time. I'd venture to say that might be true today for a lot of people. So perhaps this is not something that we need to be overly concerned about. But it is very Big Brother, and there is a concern that it is very Orwellian and that the government is watching us wherever we go, and that's the flip side.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tanya Forsythe, a partner in InfoLawGroup. Thank you very much. And I'm going to wrap up the show right now.